Hey guys, today we are learning about elimination. So the first thing you need to know is that we're talking about something called a system of equations, which means we've got more than one equation that we're working with. So you can see right here up at the top, they've given us two equations right here, and we want to know what x and y is. There's a lot of different ways to solve a system of equations, and today we're going to be focusing on elimination, which means we want to get one of the variables or the letters to just go away. So we're going to start by looking at our two equations and seeing, do we have anything that can cancel out? And the way you want to check that is it's like you're going to add these two little equations up vertically though. So the x's are adding up, the y's are adding up, and then the other numbers at the end are adding up. So if I added all this up, would anything be able to go away? And the answer is the y's would cancel out, because if I had a positive y and a negative y, that leaves me with 0. So why does it make sense to eliminate y? Because they already cancel out. Forgive me for all this writing. This is going to take forever, but the y's already cancel. So you're not going to want to try to get rid of the x's if the y's are already going away on their own. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to solve this problem first, and then we'll fill out like the steps part later. So I'm just rewriting this. We know that the y's should already be canceling out. So I'm going to show you what we do. It's like combining like terms. If I have an x here plus two x's here, that turns into 3x. If I have a positive y and I subtract that y, I'm left with no y's. And I know that 7 plus 2 is 9. We've talked about this so many times, but if you go to McDonald's, you don't have to say all the things you do not want to order. Like, I don't need to go and say I want a vanilla shake and 0 fries and 0 Cokes and 0 whatever. So this 0y is like irrelevant now. So I can go ahead and just rewrite it without. And now this is an equation that we do know how to solve. I know what 3 times something, it gives me 9. So 3x equals 9. If I divide by 3 on both sides, I get that x equals 3. Okay, so that's half the battle because now we figured out what x is, but we still have to figure out what y is. So to figure out y, you're just going to pick one of the original two equations that they gave you. I'm going to choose the top one because it is easier. And I'm going to plug in a 3 everywhere I have an x. So instead of x plus y equals 7, it would actually be 3 plus y equals 7. And I'm going to get y by itself. So that means y equals 4. The way you want to write this answer is not in two separate forms like that. You want to write it like an ordered pair. We know x goes first. That's the first number in an ordered pair. And we know x is 3. And we know y is 4. This is our solution right here. So now we can kind of talk about the steps that we took. It's really hard for me to write here, but the first thing you're going to do is match up like terms. That just means put your x's with your x's, your y's with your y's. You want it all to match up so that when you add them up, it's easier. And then you're going to add them all up, find the sum of all of it. You're going to solve for one variable. So that means you could solve for x or you could solve for y. It really doesn't matter which letter you're trying to solve for as long as you get one of them. And then once you know that one, you're going to plug that back in to the original equation. So one of the two original equations that they gave you. Okay, we're going to move on to the try this one problem. If you want to push pause and try this on your own right now, go ahead and do that. But I'm just going to keep going because obviously this is a video, so you can push pause whenever you want. I can look at this problem already and see that the one that I want to cancel out or eliminate is the x's because I have 2 positive x's and 2 negative x's. I know if I add those up, they automatically go away. So it's like I would have 0x. Then I'm going to add up my y's together. 3y and a 2y together becomes 5y. And 1 minus 6, or 1 plus negative 6, is negative 5. Just like I said before, the 0 is irrelevant. You don't have to say that part. So I've got 5y equals negative 5. I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides, which leaves me with y equals negative 1. So this time I've got y first, so it does not matter which one you go with, the top equation or the bottom equation. It really doesn't matter at all. I'm just going to choose the top one, and everywhere I see a y, I'm going to now plug in negative 1. So now I can kind of simplify that because I do know what 3 times negative 1 is. It's negative 3. And this is a two-step equation that we can solve. The opposite of minus 3 is positive 3. So I'm ending up with 2x equals 4, which means x equals 2. So now I know what x is because I just found it down here. And I know what y is because that's the original one I found. So I actually want to write my answer as an ordered pair with x always going first and y always going second. And this is the answer that I'm interested in. I'm going to have you guys kind of just write the steps that you took. You can look at the last one we did and you can kind of imitate that. I'm not going to write them on here because it's really hard for me to do that with the smartboard. But when you're done writing the steps, turn your paper over. We're going to do the next problem. Okay, so this one is a little bit different. And the reason is, if I look at my two original equations that I have, nothing automatically cancels out. Like I know x and 2x aren't going to cancel out, and 3y and 2y are not going to cancel out. So do we eliminate any variables by adding our original equations together? The answer to that is no. So before we can add them together, we have to make something eliminate. So I'm looking for the easiest thing I could possibly do to get something to eliminate, and to do that, I'm going to take this whole entire top equation times negative 2, because my goal is to eliminate the x's. If I have a positive 2x on the bottom, I have to have a negative 2x on the top, which means I have to multiply every single term by negative 2. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6y. And negative 2 times positive 7 is negative 14. And now I've got something that I can go ahead and eliminate. Okay, so now I'm no longer looking at this top equation. It's gone because I rewrote it. And now the x's cancel out. So these two cancel out, and I'm going to add everything else up. 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4y. And 6 minus 14 is negative 8. So when I solve for y, I get 2. Okay, this is where people need to pay attention, because you need to use one of your original equations, not the one that you multiplied. I'm going to use this very top equation, the x plus 3y equals 7. And instead of putting a y now, I'm going to put a 2. That's the original equation, not the one I multiplied, but the original one. And I know 3 times 2 is 6. And that would make x 1. So my answer is 1, 2. So let's answer some of these questions. Before adding, we had to multiply by negative 2, and that's the top equation. Why did that help us out? Because we canceled the x's after we did that, and now we just followed the same steps. Okay, I think my video is going to run out of time pretty quickly, so I'm just going to solve this. You should push pause right now. Try this one on your own. But I'm going to do the work really quick so you can see the answer. Once again, you have to do some multiplying before you can even cancel anything out. And I'm going to do the exact same thing and multiply it by negative 2 so that I cancel the x's out. And that's what I get when